Hey, what's going on everyone? This is Mike Colleen at MikeColleen.com. Okay, so this video is going to be a little bit more mellow than the last one, which was called You Are the Destroyer, Fight Back. One thing I think people who are empathic or good-hearted people, you need to learn to stand up for yourself. You need to learn to fight back, and the last video really breaks it down. Because you are much more powerful than the narcissist. The narcissist is extremely thin-skinned. Now, you have to remember, narcissists are actors. They're fake. It's all an act. It literally, even the lions and tigers and bears. Oh my, lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. They've got a bunch of little mental tricks that they use to terrorize you, to terrify you. And here's what's going to end up happening. When you come fully and completely out of the narcissist illusions, and that's all it is, it's an illusion, you will look at them and go, oh my God, they never had any power here in the first place. No, they never did. So here's my number one rule, okay? When Jesus says turn the other cheek, it literally means to walk away. It does not mean to sit there and let people abuse you over and over again. It means turn and walk. And like I always say, you walk and then you block. So walk and block. So the first step to all of this is recognize what's going on and just get rid of them. Walk out of their lives. Just leave. Don't. In fact, the best thing to do, don't even explain yourself. Just pack your stuff, block them on your cell phone, your email, social media, everywhere else, and then just go or leave first and then block them. Now, I'm leading up to something here, but I want to get this stuff out first. Okay, so after you walk away and block them, if they come back around to hoover you, that's when you go honey badger on them. You're really firm, you're loud, your voice is in their face, you point in their face. You let them know under no circumstances are they ever to come back. In fact, you should have done that when you walked and blocked them. You send them a message, you send them an email, or you verbally say it. You walk and block and you leave them. If they come back, that's when the gloves come off. Because clearly they're not getting the message, okay? Now, here's something that you probably didn't realize. I put it in the last video, but I realized I don't think I quite emphasized it. Now, I found a YouTube short today, a black man did. I assume he's African because of his accent from Africa. But when he said it, I was like, that's exactly what I did. So there is a weapon that you already have that you've probably used and didn't quite understand what happened, or you may not have realized what happened, okay? And here's the really cool thing. You don't actually have to hurt anyone or do anything, but it will destroy the narcissist. So there's a lot of lies that we've been told, and I believe this was told by people that were narcissists, people that made videos saying they were empaths, and these are absolute lies. And here's the main one that I'm talking about. They try to say, oh, when they were a little kid, they got abused and something bad happened, and then they turned to be a narcissist. No, that's not what happened. Narcissists, essentially, in general, I'm using this word on purpose, is they're spoiled brats. They're always mama's boys. They're just unbelievably spoiled, okay? They've lived such an easy life in comparison to what you've been through. So here's my point. All right, let me say this part. So, and on top of that, they became the masters of manipulating teachers and principals and friends' parents. And so they never got punished, or very, very rarely were they even called out on the shit that they've done to other people since early childhood. So their whole life, they've pretty much skated through because their whole focus was how to get away with hurting people and by manipulating adults and parents and everyone around them. So by the time they're an adult, essentially, they've lived a pretty cake life. It's been pretty damn easy for them, but they sure did make your life a living hell. And that right there is the secret. So if you did not watch the last video right before this one, it says you are the destroyer, fight back, okay? So here's the deal. They have never had to fight tooth and nail like you have. You are a hardened, rough, tough individual. You have dealt with so much abuse. It's like, well, it just became a part of life. Watch the last video. I really break that down. So here's the deal though. Narcissists haven't. So they don't have thick skin. They don't know how to deal with emotional wounds or getting attacked verbally or emotionally or people calling them on their shit publicly. And so when you do this to them at a restaurant or in front of their family and friends or anything, they just, oh, like they're like, holy shit, this person. Because again, like I said in the last video, they're hoping and praying and they're betting the house on, well, we're in public, so they're too polite to do this in public. Oh, once I learned that that's what they were doing, it's like, oh, fuck that. And so I would just like yell out loud what they were doing and how it made me feel. And I would just call them on their shit. And they'd be like, oh, fuck. They would tell, I'm sorry. Hey, Mike. No, you're misunderstanding. All of a sudden they became nice. All of a sudden they tucked tail because they're cowards. That's why they're called covert. The word covert means they're hiding, which means they're cowards. So number one, narcissists are extremely sensitive. I mean, unbelievably sensitive, and they're full of shame and embarrassment. And that's what they're trying to cover up every moment, every second of every freaking day of their entire lives. And that's why they try to make you look bad, to take the attention off of them and put it onto you. So here's the deal that you probably aren't aware of. Okay, so this is really important. So almost all of my videos at the very end of the title will either say destroying narcissist or destroying narcissist abuse. This is really the core of what my entire video series and my coaching is all about. So a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to destroy my narcissist. Not a lot, a couple of people, which kind of shocked the hell out of me. Like, oh, well, you don't have to, whatever. So here's what I mean by it though. Now I've mentioned this before, but I think it's important to hear it right now. It's destroying their ego, destroying their fantasy world. When you do that, all of a sudden they have to turn back around and look at everything that they've done and they did to the other people, and the hurt and the pain and the suffering and all the lies and the illusions and all the fantasy stuff that they made up in their head. And all of a sudden they have to go, wait a minute, that was all in my head? Yes, it was. It was all an illusion. It was all a fantasy. And what they did was they worked really hard to convince everyone else to take on the same illusion, or what's called shared fantasy. This is why narcissists work really hard to get into your head. So at a very young age, they start learning and figuring this out because this is their main focus in life. They do everything they can to get you to doubt yourself. So now they can start telling you what to think, what to believe. And here's what's real. And those people are bad. These people are bad. They're drug dealers. They're this. And they turn people against people if they can get into your head and install their fantasy inside your brain. So now you have a shared fantasy that's not real. This is why they call it the house of mirrors, or the horror house of mirrors, because it's terrifying. But once you pop out of it, you're going to realize it's not real at all. So in my last video, you are the destroyer, fight back. And I'm going to explain to you how easy it is you can to destroy a narcissist. But first I want to share this story because it really helped me see something that I never saw from this perspective with absolute clarity. So in the last video, I talked about this guy that was just going around, like literally he told all of us he was the manager, and he wasn't. And he did this for about almost a 5-month period of time. He kind of started out really lightly with a couple people trying to convince us. And I just right off the bat, like, something's not right, because they're supposed to notify us in 3 different ways: mail, post on our door, and email. And we didn't get any mail. I'm going, what's going on here? Something's not right. So he kind of backed off and slowed down, but then all of a sudden he picked up speed and he started walking around with a flashlight at nighttime and yelling at people and barking at people, "You can't do this. I'm going to be taking pictures of you and reporting you," acting like a police dog. And I'm like, what's like, this guy's acting erratic. Well, what it really came down to was he was lying. It was all a fantasy. And this went on. Now, the last 2 months, he would just start telling people at the front door, "Hey, just want to let you know, I'm the manager. I'm the manager." He would literally tell people this. And we're looking at this guy, and a couple of us knew, like, this guy's not the manager. So what I finally did, I got a hold of someone in the company and said, "Hey, is this guy really the new manager? He's been telling us this for months now." And the guy's like, "He's not the manager. We already have a manager, and we have no intentions of hiring anyone at all." Now, one thing I did through this whole ordeal, he was yelling at people, threatening people, saying he was taking pictures, reporting people. And he literally came to my door and pounded on my door twice in a week. And I literally got in a screaming match, say, "Fuck off." And I just was cussing, "Get the fuck away from my door, you motherfucker." He came to my door threatening me, right? So I knew right then, like, there's no way this guy's the damn manager. So here's the point. He was terrorizing everybody. And about half of the people fell for it. And they started, and in the very beginning, I thought, "Oh, you're the manager. Oh, cool." I didn't really think much of it. But then he started saying all these stories like, "Oh, that's bullshit." But there was a group of people that literally fell for the story and the fantasy, and they started to support him. But then what happened was, all of a sudden, people started talking and questioning, like, "Wait a minute, how come we haven't got any notices? How come we didn't get the post on the door? How come we didn't get an email? What's going on here?" So people started to talk, and this group of people said, "Hey, Mike, I don't think this guy's the real deal." I'm like, "No, he's not. I just caught him in not two major lies, 1, 2, 3, 4 major lies. One being he was never the manager, and they never even talked to him." Okay, here's the kicker. Then he would say, "Well, they told me I'm going to be the manager, so it'll be announced any day." Well, this went on for about 2 months, any day. So I finally talked to someone that worked for the company, and they're like, "No, that's an absolute complete lie. They've never even talked to him about it. He completely made everything up." Now, as I said in the last video, I didn't get caught up in this fantasy. I literally took like a mental step back. It's like I just stepped back and I would literally watch this guy walk up to people and say, "Hey, man, I'm the manager. Hey," and I'm like looking at this like, this guy's just digging himself a bigger hole. But what I'm really trying to emphasize is, because I didn't get caught up in the lie, I didn't get caught up in this fantasy world that he was trying to get us all caught up in. It was really cool and fascinating to watch, but it was also psychotic. I'm looking at this guy like, he's telling everyone that he's the manager and telling them they're going to have to fall in line because he's going to be video recording everyone and reporting them. And I'm like, what the fuck is this guy doing? This is psychotic. Alright, so here's the cool part about it. And it's a message you've heard, but you don't believe. Some of you, I bet, still don't. It's like, I believe. I mean, really see it. And that's what this did for me. It was a major, major gift. For the first time in my life, I didn't get caught up in the story. I didn't get caught up in the fantasy. And I just kept saying, "No, bro, that's not true. Those are good people." And he kept, "No, they're bad," right? And I kept saying, "No, they're not. I know those people. They're really good people," right? And so what happened was I got to step out of that fantasy and stay out of it. I got to watch how things unfold. And it's literally like Toto, where Toto, look, here's the deal. Toto, that tiny little dog that weighs about 4 pounds or maybe 5 pounds, he was the only one in the group that saw that this was just a load of bullshit. And he went up and pulled the curtain. And Dorothy's like, "No, Toto, no." And he pulls it wide open. And sure enough, there's just this short little old man there that's like speaking in like loudspeakers, amplified speakers, and spinning lights and making lightning and thunder noise and all this bullshit. And Toto's like, "See, this guy's a crock of shit, man. What are you afraid of this guy for? You should kick his ass." And that's why narcissists live in constant fear, because they go through their whole life doing this to every single person that they know. So every time they bump into someone from elementary school, middle school, high school, college, any and all of their jobs, a lot of these people have figured them out, and they're like, oh fuck, and they'll walk away. Oh, like one of the things you'll notice, like, hey man, let's get out of here. And they're like, dude, we just got here. Oh, let's just get out of here. I'm like, why? What's going on? It's because it's someone in that restaurant, someone in that store that figured them out about a year or two ago, and now they're like, we need to get the fuck out of here because I'm gonna get my ass kicked. Okay, I'm just going to state it, and somehow you are going to have to take the steps and just step out of the fantasy, step out of the story. It's not real. It's all, now here's the difference. It's all in that person's, in the narcissist's head, all of it, 100% of it. And here's the other thing. I got to see my neighbors, how they would mill together and talk about this. They would talk with him, and I got to watch him literally like lean into their ears and whisper shit. And I'm like, literally, he's putting this story, and they literally paint the story. It's like a movie. They tell you what the next step is. They tell you the details. It's like they're painting a picture inside your head. So I got to watch these people get riled up. Now in the beginning, I kind of got riled up myself. I even admitted it to a neighbor. Like, remember when I came over like 2 months ago and said, hey, this guy said this about those people. And you're like, nah, that's not true. So my point being is, like, I got to see this fantasy. Okay, the difference is, it's like I was outside of the movie and I got to watch it. And the vision was, I was looking at this person's head going, oh my God. It's all in this person's head. Like, in other words, instead of the movie being like displayed out on the movie screen, it wasn't there. It was inside the projector. And that's what I started to see. Like, this is just in this person's head. And I could see it. Oh, it's just in those person's head. So because, how do I use this word? Psychologically, visually, there's another word I'm trying to use for it. I wasn't associated into this movie. When I talked to the other neighbors about what I discovered, they popped right out of it because I wasn't in it, which allowed them to pop out. And they did, and they all suddenly realized, like, man, he's been lying this whole time. And I literally said, it's a fantasy in their head. And then one of the guys said, the older guy had said, yeah, he goes, honestly, because I realized all of this is a fantasy inside his head. And I was like, yep. And all of a sudden we popped out of the story and we got to see it in his head. This is why narcissists constantly are conditioning people, going around, making sure they're in line, making sure they're following along with the storyline. And then if some new person comes in the story and goes, what are you talking about? That guy's full of shit. And they're like, oh, don't listen to that guy. That guy doesn't know what he's talking about. He hasn't been around. And they'll say all kinds of stuff. This is part of the gaslighting. Right? And that's why they'll gaslight you if you start to come out of the story. Like, oh, it's all in your head. No, that's not real. That what you saw wasn't real. And that's what Toto's doing in this picture. Like, hey, take a look at this. This is the actual reality. All that other stuff that you guys have been seeing was a fantasy that this idiot was making up. You know, it's kind of funny. Looking at this person now is like, I look at this person and I'm like, this person's crazy. They've got to be psychotic. Like, there's like who would do that? Who would go around telling people they don't know that they have a position that they don't have? It's just, it really was a bizarre thing. So now let's wrap this up with something really, really easy that will really, really destroy the narcissist. And this is what I did. So this guy says in a super short YouTube short, I mean, it's like 9 seconds. He says, if somebody is treating you like you are nothing, you must become nothing in their lives by leaving. Just leave. This is a major Uno Reverso card. It literally is like pulling the rug out from underneath them, and they fall back on the back of the head and crack, they smack their head on the hardwood floor. You want to absolutely devastate a narcissist? Just leave. Become nothing. It's like, because here's what happens. Now watch this. It's called, okay, so here's someone that God, I can't remember your name. I'll look it up. Hold on. Now here, okay, this was from Stylish62. She had said something, and I cannot believe it never crossed my mind, because this is the number one thing you learn about narcissists. They are constantly telling on themselves by projection. So here this guy was running around like a chicken with its head cut off, telling me, oh, that family, that loving, clean, respectful family, yeah, they're drug dealers. They sell drugs. They're bad. And he kept doing this over and over. And then it was another family. Then it was the family that lived next door to me. And then it was the family that was over here. Then it was this new guy that moved in. And I'm like, so you're telling me all these people who I've known for years, well, except the new guy, they're all drug dealers and I haven't noticed a single thing? Yeah, I don't think so, man. Because, by the way, this person is fairly new, about 9 months ago. So Stylish62 came along and made a comment on my page and said, you know, that guy's probably a drug dealer. He's projecting onto other people. Or actually, let me read her comment. I want to get it correct. Alright, here's what she says. She says, he's on drugs, depraved the human heart without God, living for only itself, gets darker and darker just when you think you've seen it all. There's more. Yeah, you're right. It's like the Ginsu Knives commercial. And there's more. Just wait. There's more. So essentially it dawned on me like, God, this guy is probably the person who's dealing drugs. That never dawned on me. And someone else had told me a couple times, like, I don't think he works. I'm like, no, I think he gets up every day. He told me he works at this one shop. He goes, no, dude, he never goes to work. And I never really put and I thought, oh my God, someone who's constantly going around saying stuff. And this is a very narcissistic thing. And this is how they tell on themselves. They're always saying, oh no, it's those people over there. Because they're trying to distract you. There's another word for it. But turn you and look over here versus looking at them. So the first step to be a really good honey badger is literally, like he says, you know, if they treat you like you're nothing, then you must become nothing in their lives by leaving. So just leave. Now here's what happens. Now in real life, a honey badger literally is like, let's say a lion or tiger, or I don't know, something's messing with it, or it's uncomfortable, or there's no food. They're like, okay, whatever, I'm out of here. No, they don't care. It's not a big. They just go, oh, okay, I guess I'm not welcome here, and they leave. That's in real life. This is what a honey badger will do. Now, if you start to F with them and you come after them, then they turn around like, oh, really? Oh, okay. Let's, you know, it's like, you know, game on, brother. And they are vicious little bastards, if you call it that. So here's what happens psychologically to a narcissist. Because you remember, they're very empty people inside. All they have inside is shame and humiliation and hurt and, you know, all this embarrassment, okay? So here's what happens. They are projecting onto you what they are. So when everyone, including the targets, step out of the movie, step out of the fantasy, where does all this projection go? Well, it has to go back to the narcissist. So all of a sudden they're going, holy shit, it's not them. This movie is all in my head. And that's what happened to this person. Like, everyone popped out of this illusion, okay? And we're like, oh, this is just a total crock of shit. So when you leave a narcissist, now here's the secret to it though. Don't argue with them. Don't explain yourself, because I guarantee you've already said, dude, like, why are you fucking with me? Why? Because in my case with this other person years ago, I literally was like, dude, like, what's your problem? Like, what's going on here? Oh, okay, well, whatever, man. And like, no, we need to talk about this, dude. I'm getting sick of that. This went on for like a while. Okay, well, let's talk about it tomorrow. Let's go to breakfast. We talk about it. Oh, okay, fine. We'll talk tomorrow. And that tomorrow ended up being 3, 4, 5 months later. I was like, yeah, I'm done. And I just grabbed my shit and I walked. But it was the finality of it. It was the... How do I explain this? I wasn't angry. I wasn't pissed. I didn't want to discuss it. I wasn't like, F you. I just, okay, well, I'm done. I walked. It's like you literally become nothing to them. And when you leave, that Uno Reverso card kicks in overtime, and that nothingness slams them right in the heart, soul, and gut, and now they're feeling like nothing. And that is the point. It's like he says, you must become nothing in their lives by leaving. So it's like all of a sudden they're going, holy shit, this person doesn't care about me. It's like, no, you treated me like I was nothing, so I guess I'm nothing, so I'm leaving. Okay, I think the best way to explain this is by giving you an example. Now here's the funny thing, as I'm making this video, I'm having memories come up, because I always thought, well, I never did that, and I'm thinking, oh my god, I did that to my high school girlfriend. So one day, so she had been, let's say, not very nice to me for quite a while, a couple months at this point. And one day, in a very cocky way, it was at the second period break, in between second and third period, she called me over in front of the crowd, and there's, I would say a big crowd, but there was like 20, 30 people around us. Everybody was on campus taking a break. And she broke up with me out loud in front of everyone. It was just kind of like out of the blue, and it was just kind of, I want to say cold, but not in a way that hurt. It was like, that was weird, okay. And so I was like, oh, well, okay, if you want to break up, that's fine. And she wasn't expecting that. I think she was expecting me to beg her, to, you know, plead and cry. And I just said, oh, okay. And I took off with my friends, and like, I don't know why, but it didn't hurt. Now here's the worst part. At lunchtime, because she said it in front of a bunch of people, the cutest girl on campus, who I'd never even seen before, I think her name was Carrie, if I remember right, she came up to me and asked me if I would take her to this party. And I'm like looking at this girl, I was like, hell yeah, I'll take you to a party. Now here's the funny thing, I'm just realizing right now as I'm saying this, I had no emotions. I was like, oh, okay. And I just walked away. I mean, I didn't know what to say. It was the first time someone broke up with me. So I was like, oh, okay. But I think it was also the way she did it. Like, I could tell. Okay, this is what happened when I was younger. Like, when my brother Gary tried to hurt me, I remember looking like, oh, he's not really doing this because he wants to hurt me. Like, God, how to explain that? So, I realized what he was doing, in and of itself, it didn't hurt me. But it was like, I looked at him like, oh, he's doing this to hurt me. So I was like, oh, okay. So for some reason it didn't hurt me. And it was the same thing with my high school girlfriend. I remember looking at her like she was making kind of a show of it. I'm like, what's she doing? I was like, oh, she wants me to feel bad. So I just like, okay, well, whatever. And it's like, it's like that guy says in that image. It's like, so they treat you like nothing, so you become nothing. And poof, I disappeared. And she was left with a bag of nothing going, wait a minute, I was expecting him to beg me, to cry, to come back to me, to try to talk it out, to try to convince me, to try, like, nope, see ya, hasta pasta, later, babe, peace out. Alright, let me give you one thing I learned during NLP negotiations. Here's what it is. The person or entity that is willing to walk away has the power. If you're not willing to walk away at the drop of a hat, they've got you, and they know it. And that is what narcissists are relying on. So because I learned this in negotiation many moons ago, I remember this last narcissist, it was like 3 years ago, I looked at him like, wait, are you seriously treating me this way? Oh, well, I guess I'm out of here. It's like, I remember the moment when, and I said it to someone else, oh, I'm done. I'm just done with this person. And it was literally, God, I kid you not, it was like an energy expanded in a circular, expanding circle all the way out to the ends of the freaking universe, or the ends of the horizon. I was like, oh, I'm done. And I felt like, boom, something expanded out. I was like, what the fuck is that? Like, what? And literally, I felt something. It's like something changed. Alright, rock stars, that's it for tonight. God bless you. I'll see you guys next video. Remember, click subscribe, click that like button, make a comment, and if you want to go ahead and make a donation, there's a PayPal link right down there in the description box right below the video. God bless you guys. See you in the next video. Bye.